It's New Brew Thursday! Woo! And we're at
the yelling, man. What's going on here?
We're scaring the shit out of Shaun O Sullivan at 21st
Hold on a minute, let me
Amendment.
Twitter this for a second.
What?
Okay, here we go.
All right. So
Okay.
we got Twitter action going on. We got blondes that are coming up to us beforehand.
Dude, what was that all about? I thought it was like you had some like hot...
Well, yeah, we normally travel with hot women, but sometimes when we don't, hot women come to us.
Oh, dude, you...
So, you know.
You got a great... I mean, for all you internet video bloggers out there, you have to understand that set up your cameras, the women will come.
That's right.
If
you want women, don't be at a rock band.
That's literally
do
what
a podcast.
happened.
Yeah, do a podcast.
She was like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?"
You sat down. I thought she was part of your whole like crew.
You would think.
Well, she might be later. We'll see about that. So, as you can see, we're here at 21st Amendment in San Francisco.
Welcome.
Shaun O Sullivan, co-owner.
As you can see, it's pretty dead here. There's not a lot of people.
It's kind of it's not really a happening place.
Come down here, please. Help me out. I got to put my kid through school. Look at Brad here needs a haircut. I mean, look what's going on here. The guy is all effed up.
So yeah, this place kicks ass.
Thank you.
Period.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun. I mean, actually, I don't know if we're date coding this right now, but Apple just had a huge, big launch today.
Oh yeah, their feminine product that was announced today. Yes.
The eye tampon.
Yeah, the eye tampon.
That's. What
I love that. I love that the eye tampon trended on Twitter, but iPad did not.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Well,
it's a worldwide trending topic, but iPad was nowhere to be found.
These things happen. I mean, I'm menstrual today. I mean, I'm not this,
But you can do so much more with the eye tampon that you just can't with the iPad. You know.
Right. Swimming, horseback riding.
Exactly. Yeah. You imagine like them like holding that thing up, going like, and then women kicking their legs up in the air, going like, "Hey, look, I'm running around."
The question is, does it have wings?
Does it have what?
Does it have wings?
Yeah. Of course it does. I mean,
And it hasn't been
How else
announced
is it
yet,
going to attach
but
to your
because of my
panties?
close relations with Steve Jobs, I actually have the next generation, which is the iPad Nano. The iPad Nano, people, it's coming. Trust me. So.
And then the invisible.
Yes, exactly. But we are here because 21st Amendment is one of the most up-and-coming breweries in America right now.
That's what I read on Wikipedia.
Exactly. Well, that's because I put it there. It's what I do. And you guys you're on the forefront of the canning industry, which is awesome.
Yep.
And I really, really, really like that. Actually.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun with it. The story is basically that about 4 years ago, I was out in Lyons, Colorado, and I saw what Oscar Blues is doing out there, and was out there for the Great American Beer Festival, and I saw their cans out there with craft beer, and I was just like, this is the future of craft beer.
Absolutely,
It's in a 12-ounce aluminum can, and I drank the Kool-Aid, and I convinced Nico, my business partner, to do it, and a lot of other people, and now we're...
What was the elevator pitch?
The elevator pitch was... Why not? I mean,
why not?
No.
Exactly.
I mean, the elevator pitch was like, it is the perfect package.
He's all, Nico, aren't you tired of dropping bottles on the bottling line?
Yeah. It was essentially like, when you think about the craft beer drinker, it's like kind of like young, urban, they're outdoorsy, they're kind of like, and maybe they drink PBR and all that. And the idea was that, you know what? And actually, the really inside story is this. Nobody knows this. Is I collected beer cans as a kid.
Right on.
And I have to tell you right now, I do things just with this business sort of promote like a personal agenda in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So it was like, I collected beer cans. Why? I think I want to have a beer can.
Yeah. And deep down inside, do you want some kid collecting in 21st Amendment?
Yeah.
For your IP
I want to be that kid on Hawthorne Lane in Palos Verdes, digging up stuff and pulling out like, holy crap, Brew Free or Die? I've never even heard of this before.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I have an empty can of monk's blood sitting on my desk right now.
Love you.
So
as do I. Yes.
And I think it's interesting because a lot of people, they bemoan the can, and there's this psychological reaction of like, oh, I get a tinny taste, which unless you're drinking a can of beer from the 50s, you're not going to get a tinny taste.
You're absolutely
That's not going to happen.
That's like old world
tin.
thinking. That's like Web 1.0. Nobody knows what that is. So.
Well, and I think with the idea that a lot of people say like, oh, this beer tastes better on draft. Well, the reason it tastes better on draft is because it's in a keg.
Yeah.
Protected from sunlight and properly carbonated.
Exactly.
And so now you have a little mini keg and a 12-ounce
mini keg.
Yeah, where you
mini
open
keg.
it and it tastes just like it's on draft.
Yeah.
So, right on.
It's like a no-brainer. I mean, when we first did this thing, it was like, people are like, oh, the can, oh my God, my head's going to explode. I can't believe you're going to do that. And we were like, no, your first beer was probably in a can. It was probably not great.
Right.
And so we just say, bad beer is bad beer, and canned beer is a package. So.
Well, I think unfortunately, because the craft beer industry came in and they wanted to separate themselves as much as possible from the Coors Lights and the Bud Lights, and which is what you're going to find in the can. And so a big step in doing that was that they only did bottles.
Yep.
And so now it's like, hey, you know what? They don't own the can either, so we're taking the can back.
We're taking it back, America.
Right. So you know what? Bud Lights,
all three
screw you.
cameras.
So I think that's awesome personally.
We read that you guys hand can all
What's
your
that?
beer. You hand can.
Yeah, we went on Brookston did a blog
Brookston,
post about your two
Jay
canning
Brooks?
system.
Yeah, he's a liar. Don't listen to him. No, I'm kidding, Jay.
I know.
I'm kidding.
I've drank with Jay. He is a
good
liar.
egg. No, when we first got into this whole thing about 3 years ago, we wanted to test the waters, and the big hiccup to entry into the can segment was, that sounds very marketing like 1.0.
Right.
The can segment was, the hiccup was that there wasn't equipment that was available for the craft brewers. So there's a company out of Calgary, Canada called Craft, Cast Brewing Systems. And they developed like a little tabletop canning line, as well as a larger line, 5-head canning line, to kind of allow the craft brewer to basically get involved in the segment. So, we would kick out 17 cases an hour, which isn't a lot, and so we tried it out. We ordered a bunch of cans and tried it out there, and people bid on it. They totally loved it, and they got into it. The other big hiccup was the fact that the big can manufacturers were not allowing, they still had to buy these huge minimums. They had to buy like 1 billion cans basically.
Right.
So they lowered those down, so you bought less, and so you were able to get into the segment and all that. And I don't think you've seen a lot of breweries getting into it, is that they have these huge giant canning or bottling lines, excuse me, all I think about is cans now. And they don't have the space or the resources to sort of integrate this new packaging technology.
Right.
And so that's why I don't think that you're seeing so many of the larger craft breweries getting involved in it. With the exception of like New Belgium has gotten into it a little bit.
Right.
They've kind of put their toe in it, and they're seeing the success of it, and they're looking at maybe doing it in a bigger way.
Right.
I think there'll be a day actually where you see larger, bigger craft breweries like Sierra Nevada. I had a conversation with Ken Grossman back at Savor in DC a couple years ago, and I said, why are you not doing this? It's like, well, we thought about it, and they probably had the same sort of hiccups to go into market with the whole idea. If I say hiccup one more time, somebody hit me in the jaw right now. Square in the jaw.
With just my fist?
Can I
No, the can. Like that.
We're not going to waste the beer.
No. So anyway, that's what happened. So we tried it out here, we got into it, and we realized the whole idea had legs to it, and then we decided to blow it up even bigger.
Right on.
And it's been
And right now
phenomenal.
you still have your three beers on can.
Yeah.
The Monk's Blood, the Brew IPA, and the
we have the Hell Right Watermelon Wheat Beer, which American style wheat beer with we brew with real watermelon juice, not the fake stuff that you probably make at home.
Right.
Brad, you're freaking me out over here. You're like giving me the
Brad freaks people out. It's what he does.
You got that.
We're not allowed to film our show near schools.
Twilight-esque intensity. Is
Yeah, you got like he used the wrong verb. We use real fruit. And that's the big difference between us and other craft breweries, is that we are not using some sort of like fake,
syrupy,
nuclear, like infused bio DNA, realized in a Super 8
They're
motel
cloning
kind of
watermelons
thing.
in the back right now.
Exactly, where your mom would be like, oh my God, running out of the room on fire. Pants are on fire, pants
All
are
I
on fire.
taste is the watermelon.
half watermelon, half man.
Yeah, coming out, moms being like, it's not real.
Can't
it's
sleep,
not
the
real.
watermelons will eat me.
Pizza. No, we're not doing that. Nothing like that. We're basically using real fruit.
Right on.
And that's the difference, is that
So it's also healthy.
it's absolutely healthy. It ferments out. That's not a committed claim. So it ferments, and so you kind of get a more of a rind-like quality. Watermelon is in the same family as cucumber,
Right.
and so you kind of get this
Right on.
soft quality to
Most
it.
of
So
the
you-
sugar ferments out of the
Yes,
watermelon.
ferments.
So you totally got the right taste off of it. Right on. So
Exactly. Good job.
Very good, Brad. High five.
Yay!
Hey, high five. Don't leave me hanging. Don't leave me hanging. Don't leave me hanging. Whoa.
So right on. Well, we have 4 beers that are closed, and you guys are drinking. Oh, don't drink that one yet.
Why?
Because that's coming later. This is a secret beer that we're going to talk about later.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
But we have 4 cans of the Brew Free or Die IPA, and they're sitting here not being drank, and that's a cardinal sin.
And about to get not
So
cold.
yes, I'm going to pour the deliciousness out.
Here we go.
Now, while we're pouring this, I want to bring up an article that I read by Jackie Chan, who is not a martial arts expert, but is apparently ignorant and misinformed about canning in small handles. And what he says is that because you guys do a smaller canning line and it's a manual system, that you're going to get more oxygen in the can, that you're going to have less stable shelf life and that type of thing. And you refute that claim because you've actually done research with it, right?
Well, okay, this is getting into a huge can of worms right now.
Okay.
Which I don't know.
Which is what I do on the show. That's my purpose.
Yeah.
Is to open
So
the
we
can.
basically, early on, way back in the 40s, you know, no, this is like 3 years ago, when we first started getting into canning this beer, we did it here.
Okay.
We did it on a little 2-head filler here, and we were using this, you know, this little system of kicking out 17 cases an hour and all this, and then we realized the whole thing had, people got into it and all this, and we said we can't make enough beer here to, you know, supply, you know, the, you know, guys like you and well, maybe
I'll
you.
drink your entire canning line in a day.
See, that's what I was worried about. So we decided to take it to another level, and we saw some opportunities that allowed us to sort of like do it on in a way that that we could afford. Nico and I didn't have a lot of money. We're like, you know,
Or a lot of space, really.
not a lot of space, and we don't have a lot of space. We don't have a lot of money, and you know, we were raised. My dad like worked for, you know, a
Which
steel mill
translates into
in
please
Pittsburgh.
buy our beer
Exactly.
so we can get
Please
more
put
money.
my son through school, please. Anyway, we decided that we would look outside of our little world here at the 21A on 2nd Street and look for an opportunity to make the beer at a larger scale. So we first thought about buying a larger canning line and dropping into a brewery and brewing our beer there. And then we saw an opportunity in breweries at an excess capacity. And back in the 90s, it was a 4-letter word. It was called contract brewing.
Right.
We call it partner brewing now. And and I think it's a cleaner way of doing it because we take our malt, our hops, our yeast, our watermelon, and we put it on our backs, and we haul it out to our this brewery that we use, and we do it out in Cold Spring, Minnesota, which is a town of less than 3,000 people, about 88 miles outside.
Which is why
of,
Chicago can have their beers, but we can't down in LA.
Well, no, actually, Chicago doesn't get it.
Oh, they just got the special release.
Yeah, no, I went out there and did a little podcast with those folks out there, and you know they're still whining about it to this day. I mean, those guys on what was the podcast?
Hopcast.
Yeah, Hopcast. Those douchebags. You know,
We actually love you guys.
Yeah, I'm kidding,
Peace.
Ken and Beerad. And so anyway, we decided that hey, we've got like these breweries that have excess capacity out there. Let's go out there and let's make our beer there. It'd be the equivalent of me like going out to you or maybe you. And
Not these two douchebags, but that guy over there.
And cooking my lasagna on your stove or something.
Right,
using your pots and pans.
It's your recipe, it's your beer, it's brewed in their
It's
beds.
not like in the late '90s where it was, hey, you and I are together. We're Madison addicts, and
Right.
let's pretend like we're like, you know, I got an idea here. Let's call it like Beerad IPA. And
Beerad IPA.
And we'll put it on here, and we'll like go out and sell we'll make 1 million cans.
Right on.
I like the fact
That's
we're
never
using
gonna
this
work.
here.
Never gonna work out.
I feel like I might
tell
cut
you.
myself
I
with
gotta
this,
tell
but
So we're basically creating like it's co-packing basically in the beer world, and I've been out there 25, 30 times in the last year and a half.
Wow.
I have frequent flyer miles
clearly.
on NWA.
And unfortunately, you
Right.
picked Minnesota because
I
I lived there for a while.
You told me that before.
Yeah.
I love Minnesota.
I like Minnesota to visit for about a week, and then
I
I want
like
to come
visiting
home.
Minnesota.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful place.
I like St. Paul, Minneapolis, and where we brew our beer. It's a nice town. It's small.
Well, it
it's
gives
like,
you a chance to have some Furious and a little coffee bender.
Yeah.
So right on.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, right on.
So that's why we're doing it out there.
Awesome.
And
Right
actually,
on.
you're going to see more.
So
and
you're
more.
not using your two systems?
No.
Okay.
We can't keep up with it. We're in 16 states now.
right on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so
When will you be getting to LA? Do you know?
I know. When I heard that, I was like, so I was drinking out of beer that Shaun may or may not have touched himself. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was really excited about
Thanks
that
for shattering
myself.
my dream.
listen, I'll touch your beer right now. There you go. Touching your beer right now. There you go.
Well, it's been blessed by the Pope of beer.
Apparently,
So.
It's in LA.
It's gonna be that kind
I
of
don't
party.
get out much.
No.
Keep doing this.
Well, we keep Brad down in the basement, so he
Yeah.
doesn't really,
I stay in my home.
Yes. No, I'm really happy for the success of 21st Amendment because I will say first of all that Brew or Die IPA has quickly become one of my favorite IPAs.
This actually is, I'm not a big IPA fan, to be honest, and this is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You know, it's actually we designed this beer. It's like kind of a three-dimensional experience. You kind of you inhale, you get the hop aroma. Your expectation is you're going to drink a bitter beer, but you get the bitterness.
It's
but
really
you get
well
a malt
balanced.
backbone.
Yeah.
The malt,
Instead
I
of
was gonna say that.
sweetness, and then it just drops out right dry, and that's
Right.
kind of like what you want.
Exactly.
In any kind of beer drinking experience is ideally that it finishes dry, because then you want to have another, and another, and another, and
Oh, and
another,
don't worry,
another,
we will be
another,
stumbling out of
and another.
21st Amendment tonight.
You guys are ruined.
So, and I think that for me, being down in LA, we tend to hold beers up to the Stone image of what beer is,
Yep.
because Stone has been
Pretty
around the
talking.
longest. You go ahead.
I'm running out of beer.
I totally forgot we had pizza.
But I really, Stone IPA doesn't hold a candle to this. I love this beer, and the fact that I can have it in a can and take it to the pool, take it to the beach, take it, as long as the
To the moon.
Coast Guard, the moon, or on a plane,
On a plane.
which is a first.
It's
Very
even
portable.
now. I mean,
Very, very
Yeah.
portable.
yeah.
Virgin America has been huge for us. I mean, it's blown up people's impression of what goes on. For that young company to sort of take a risk and say, hey, yeah, we want to do that. We're offering the passenger another experience they've never had on a plane before, and that why don't we back that up by serving you absinthe and good food
Right.
and good craft beer.
Exactly.
Absinthe. Good craft
Absinthe.
beer. Like Green Fairy, you're
The green fairy that comes by with
it
your
puts
absence.
the lotion
yes.
on the skin.
It does this when it's told to.
And so, I mean, to be up there and the way the whole thing started it was so organic. It was all on Twitter, and I had a great experience up in the plane in the plane.
Did you actually buy everybody a can of beer?
I haven't done that yet.
Oh, you haven't done that yet.
No,
Okay.
no. So my first experience was I basically I was up in Virgin, I was on their planes and all that, and I twittered about my experience. They followed me back, as you probably heard they do, and then and then I direct messaged, hey, how come you can't get great beer? You got all this macro beer on board, and they put me in touch with the guy that makes those decisions, and this is what happened. So
Right on.
now we're up there. So it's been
Awesome.
it's been absolutely phenomenal.
That's pretty
Well,
awesome.
That
But my
brings-
goal actually is
To
one
one
day
day to do it.
fly.
Now,
I haven't done it
when
yet.
you book that ticket, I expect
I'll
a
let you
direct
know.
message. Exactly, because
It should
I
be-
will
it
get
should
on
be-
that plane.
It should be like a party plane, like a party
Exactly.
bus going to a show.
We need
or
another
something.
case.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, it brings me to another thing about you is that you are probably the most prolific brewer on Twitter.
Really?
Yes. If you're on Twitter and you follow a lot of brewers like we do and breweries, and you can talk to them and they pretty much ignore you for the most part, Shaun will actually interact with you. And that, to me, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That
Well,
rocks.
that's what it's all about at Twitter. I don't understand
You're
why
very
you
Web
brewers
2.0.
out there are not responding back and talking back to you, because it might be kind of a weird thing. Maybe you don't want to talk back, but you should respond
Well, I'm sure
back.
you get
That's
some
what it's all
crazies.
about. I get a lot of crazies.
that DM you and ask you to shoot episodes in your brew pub.
Exactly. So you should talk back. It's part of the fun. It's part of being on Twitter. You know what? Somebody told me once that if you direct message on Twitter, it's like you're having a conversation with yourself in the corner at a party
Exactly.
by yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Well, and I think that the other thing too with 21st Amendment as a whole is you've done podcasts. You did Hopcast.
Yep.
Great show when you were out in Chicago. And of course, we didn't want to steal any of that thunder from their show. They did a great job with that. But once I came here, I had to get in here and film. There was no question. But I think this week the Two Beer Queers are also doing Monk's Blood as a review. So you guys are all over the internet.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's been a lot of fun, and people out there, all the podcasters they've totally accepted the whole thing and gotten into it, and I love it. I even like the negative stuff. Like I'll tell you a story. Today I had like somebody like said something negative about the IPA and the watermelon, and somebody sent me it was a Twitter thing, and I saw it and I was like, all right, I just followed them right back. I'm watching you.
Right.
Yeah.
You may not be in the Big Ten of canned craft beer right now, but you will be one day. So.
Right on. Well, since we're here, we're pairing this beer with a pizza from the brew pub.
Pizza.
And because you guys make your pizza crust with your mash.
Yeah, we use a beer beer mash crust. Incorporate that into
dude, it's freaking amazing.
I didn't know that. That's
go
awesome.
for it. Give it a shot.
What are we eating?
Pesto something.
Yeah, we got pesto. We've got some greens there. We've got some tomatoes. A little bit of cheese.
Margarita pizza with the pesto. Right?
Yeah, it's the.
As a pizza aficionado.
That's a pesto like
Is
sauce.
it good? You like it? Cheers.
That's like a pesto sauce.
What's that?
Is it like a pesto sauce?
Yeah, pesto sauce.
That's good. Wow.
Like I said that like I knew what the fuck I was talking about. Well, no, you guys have to eat. You're hungry. You guys have traveled just from
I'm a growing
Japan.
boy.
You're a growing bag. He's all grown
I'm growing
up.
as well, but the wrong way. Sorry, Molly. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I wanted to just take a quick second to say that I was a big fan of Monk's Blood. I really didn't know what to expect with something with that kind of title, and so I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I'm a Viking-looking dude. Let's drink some blood. And
That's what I was thinking when we created the beer. We were like,
So now earlier when we were here and we saw the monks being dragged against their will to the back.
yeah,
Was
it all comes
Leg
together. Now it all
right
makes sense.
there.
Exactly.
Here I thought it
Squeeze
was just a
them.
clever name. But
It's the truth.
no, it's actually really good.
Thank
Maybe
you.
it's because I like a little fruit or something,
Yeah.
but I like it a lot.
no, it
Unlike some people,
Yes.
shall remain nameless, I actually like it a lot.
Now, my question to you is, Monk's Blood is probably the first beer that I've seen in the can, aside from like Oscar Blues 1050, that would be suitable for aging. Now, how do you feel about aging beer in a can?
That's kind of like, that's a huge question, and it's something that hasn't really been tested yet. I did see a post on Twitter.
And you know, every time you do that, we're going to have to cut between each
You got to do it.
Yeah, I was just
awesome.
thinking that.
It's going to be awesome.
Twitter, from Charlie Papazian, the Relax Have a Homebrew director of the Brew Association.
Charlie's a semi-large man in the industry.
He's a huge guy. And he actually had a 1050 from Oscar Blues that was a few years old and said it was delicious.
Really?
So this is like new territory. It's like we're just carving it out right now. It's there or there or there or there.
Well, and I think, ultimately I think that aging in a can would be easier because a lot of the negatives that you run into, such as oxidation, such as light exposure, are not even an issue at that point. So basically, if you can keep the can at a nominal temperature, it's going to be... Well, in a bottle, you run the risk of the cap dehydrating and allowing oxygen into the bottle.
Yeah, these don't leak.
And they don't leak, exactly. And so you're not gonna get the oxidation problems, you're not gonna get the light problems. You're gonna get just, as long as you can keep it at a nominal temperature, you're gonna age the beer perfectly. And I really think that canned beer aging, of course the first aged beer I had in a can was a Bud Light that I kept for 2 years in my closet.
What was that all about?
Well, I was 12 when I got the can.
Was it underneath the bed with your porn stash?
Yeah, basically, it's like I found it 2 years
really
later,
weird,
and I was like,
oh my
woohoo!
God.
And I drank it and it tasted horrible. So, don't age Bud Light.
This old penthouse from 1985. What's this doing here?
Hey, Penthouse in 1985 was a distinguished magazine.
It was actually. I agree to that.
Aged sport and aged beer
I'll
are
agree
two very different
to
things.
that.
That's right. Let's talk about this right here. This is a secret beer that we've had sitting here, and everybody's wondering what's going on with that.
Yeah, what the hell is going on
What
with
is
that
this?
beer there? So basically, what we're doing is we're creating the Big Can series, which is an only draft series, and so we're brewing this beer out in Cold Spring. All the beers that we make out there have all been developed here on 2nd Street at the 21st Amendment. Can I get you some another piece there? You all right?
Good.
Once you get
Please
Brad
go
food,
on.
he stops listening to everything around
He's
him.
like, whatever. Just give me some more pepper. You'll be fine. Don't worry. Anyway, so we've created this sort of Big Can series, all draft series, and we basically make beers that we think we want to develop into the can series, whether it's the Insurrection series like the Monk's Blood or part of the 6-pack series, and And so that's a way of kind of getting out there. So this is we made this beer here, then we took it back to Cold Spring and made it out there, and it is a Belgian golden strong ale. So.
And it's called?
It's called Golden Doom.
Golden Doom.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a rad name.
And this is actually what I drank before we set up. I had a glass of this, and it's amazing. And I love Belgians. I'm a big fan of Belgians.
Thank you.
John, you're not, so I want your opinion.
I like it. It's over the months I've been slowly converting over to liking the Belgian brews, but it's good.
I was just gonna say,
all I can say.
as I was not an IPA fan and I loved their IPA. You were not a Belgian fan and you loved their Belgian. So.
It says a lot about 21st Amendment, you know? And I think that as a conversion, and a lot of what our show is about is converting the Bud Light drinker or the Coors Light drinker into
Please do
real
that.
beer. Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
And ultimately,
Everybody.
like, if you're watching the show, which you might be because, you know, we might have new viewers this week, and you're drinking Coors Light, and you're in the San Francisco area, or wherever
How
they
can you
sell
look
it.
at yourself in the mirror?
How do you get up in the morning and put your underwear on right? I mean, how does that happen?
You know, my thing is I think your IPA is actually a good conversion beer. Most of the time, I would tell
it's a
people,
crossover in a lot of ways. It's
I
not
tell
like-
people stay away from IPAs.
Yeah.
Don't go near
I would say
IPAs.
don't go near 'em.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about this one, you're getting that nice hop flavor, but you're getting it where you can appreciate it, and it's not smacking you in the face.
Well, just like
It's
you
not-
said,
you're not scraping your tongue with it
Right.
because of the hops and all that.
the malts really back it
Once
up.
again, that's
really
Brew
really
Free
well,
or-
really really well.
Brew, free, or die IPA.
What he said.
Exactly. And ultimately, that's another thing. The title of the beer is awesome to me because I really, you know, the biggest problem that I have with craft beer as a whole, not problem with craft beer, but problem that they've suffered is that they have this battle raging with the macro beer industries.
Yep.
And my thing is like, you know what, if you like Coors Light and you like Bud Light genuinely, go ahead and drink them. I'm not going
drink
to tell
'em.
you what to drink.
Yep, yep.
But my problem is that the macro beer industry is not satisfied with their 98% market share. They want to crush that other 2% of choice that you have in the market.
Yep.
And that's my problem. So every time you buy a Coors Light, you're supporting the destruction of small business and craft beer. And that's just wrong. It's wrong.
You
wrong,
are contributing
Right.
to mass destruction of craft
I mean,
beer.
imagine if you're a guy that drinks kegs and your roommate's like, I want a keg. And you're like, oh, I'm in a hurry, so I'm going to buy this Bud Light keg. You know what? God has just killed a kitten, and it's your fault.
Exactly. God
I
is
feel like I'm
killing kittens.
and Shaun O Sullivan reporting from the scene of canned craft beer. More on that story later. Let's go to a scene right now.
You're
What do
making
you guys
my
think about
life
that
hell.
as well? Let's go to that right now.
I'm the guy in the background.
I'm on TV. Ultimately, craft beer rocks. 21st Amendment is leading the revolution. Join the revolution.
Boom.
That's it.
Let's go to the weather right now over here.
The weather. Brad, give us the weather report.
What do you think?
I'm not in this one. I can't
Oh
give
yeah,
you
we
a
got to do that one.
So stay safe. And
Yeah,
drink beer.
as always, stay safe and drink beer.
Drink
Cheers.
craft beer.
Cheers. Thank you guys. Put it in the goddamn basket. How does he get it like that, you think? How does he get it like that?
Lots of blacks.
I think there's actually probably a little beer in there. Maybe.
A little 21st Amendment
Beer,
love.
yeah. We have hops and malt. Not only will you drink it, but it will become your eye life with eye beer.